Today in the news, we got an AMD tease, an RX 5500 reviewed, and microtransactions. What's up guys, I'm Snows, and this is your boot sequence. Let's get started with AMD. The embargoes are lifted and the reviews are out. The 24 and 32 core Threadripper 3 CPUs are here, and well, they are absolute monsters. They tower over not only Intel's 10980XE, which makes sense given the price difference, but they also crush the old 2970WX and 2990WX. Now, if you want an extensive list of benchmarks, check out hardwarecanuck's video on the two CPUs up here. But there is something I'd like to mention that they did not feature in their video. So Mike, that's this guy right here, did the testing for the review, and here is what he told me. In their Premiere Pro testing, the 3970X, that's the 32 core, finishes their render test in 7 minutes and 51 seconds. As you can see, that's the fastest time on the board. What he didn't mention in the review is that 2 instances of that very same test running in parallel was completed in 8 minutes and 1 second. That's insane. This would make it an amazing render farm at that price point, given there is nothing else to compare at that price point. Anyways, with the release of these new CPUs, AMD also teased something that proved me wrong. So I will stand on my prediction that the new Threadripper will have up to 48 cores for the simple fact that it's codenamed Shark's Tooth, and white sharks have a first row of 48 teeth. Yeah, it looks like their upcoming top-of-the-line CPU called the 3990X will feature an insane 64 cores and 128 threads. 64 cores, that's epic! Excuse the pun. The 3990X will have double the cache at 288 megabytes and a TDP of 280 watts. 288 megabytes of cache is huge. I mean, it takes me back to the times where 512 megabytes of RAM was a lot on my Pentium 4 computer. I feel like in a few years, we'll have a few gigabytes of cache in a CPU, which would be insane. Anyways, still no release dates or pricing information for this monster, and we have no words on the rumored 3980X, which would feature 48 cores. The price is probably going to be through the roof though. I wouldn't be surprised if the 64 core costs over $5,000. Moving on, but sticking to AMD, it looks like a few media outlets got their hands on the RX 5500. Now, this is an OEM version, which are often simplified with bare minimum clock speeds, and this model is also the 4GB version. We also don't know what the price is, so the relevancy of this GPU definitely relies on that. So, how's performance? I'm going to ignore anything higher than 1080p testing, since this card is truly not meant for it. In terms of performance, it places itself right next to the RX 580, the 8GB version at that. In most games like Control, Rainbow Six Siege, BF5, Borderlands 3, the performance is extremely similar. Now, if we compare it to the 1650 Super, it really depends on the game, but the trend is that the 1650 Super generally beats the 5500 by a few FPS, except for some fringe cases like in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It's weird though, it's an AMD title, but AMD performs so poorly in that game. Anyways, to me, the RX 5500 4GB model will only be worth it if it's priced around or lower than $130. I know it's a pretty lowball offer, but it doesn't bring anything new to the table besides efficiency. And the 1650 Super is at $160 right now, and it's just overall better. Plus, you can find used RX 580s for around $100, which might work for you if you have a good power supply. And it would help in case where games need more memory. What do you guys think? What price point would you put the RX 5500 at, the 4 and the 8GB? Moving on to some gaming news, it looks like there's going to be a new player in the game streaming world. According to a CNET article, 2 people familiar with Amazon's plans have revealed that the company plans on launching a service next year. Some job postings for a new initiative also seems to relate to a game streaming service. Now, here's my advice for Amazon. 1, please, just please, don't open a streaming-only gaming store. You already have the Twitch app, which doubles as a launcher and a sort of game store, so no need to go further. Secondly, integrate Twitch into it. The whole thing Stadia was supposed to do with community play on YouTube and all of that, that's a good idea. Plus, Twitch is the perfect place to do it. And three, just make the service simple. You pay a monthly fee for the social features and to borrow a computer in the cloud for the most popular games people already own. That's all it takes for it to be a success. Just don't be Stadia. Lastly, in gaming, we had the return of Cyberpunk 2077 in the news. So one thing that was pushed a lot by CD Projekt Red was the fact that the game was a huge single-player campaign similar to The Witcher, and that microtransactions were not welcome. Well, it looks like the multiplayer mode is not getting the same treatment. During CD's earnings call, it was revealed that the multiplayer mode would get monetized, but that we should expect wise monetization and always value for your money. So basically, you'll get what you paid for, there is microtransaction, and you won't pay $2 for a red dot site, hopefully. Anyways, guys, that is pretty much it for the news today. Hopefully you've enjoyed. If you got any questions or comments, you can leave them all the way down below in the comment section. As usual, you can click right here to see the latest video right here, to subscribe to the channel. Stay frosty, my dudes, and I'll see you on the next one. Therapy time. Oh, that's great. I understand. Yeah, sure. Goodbye.